Welcome to Glow Up with Nisi, where the glow up is more than skin deep. This season, we're owning our evolution from healing and habits to hustle and soft life. I'm your host, Nisi, and here we talk glowing different, leveling up with intention, faith, and just the right touch of luxury. So fix your crown, pour up something pretty, and let's step boldly into becoming her one episode at a time. The glow up affirmation for today is I am never alone in my evolution. You know what nobody really tells you about a glow up? It's not always pretty. There's this in between phase where it's just you, no constant text, no validation, no audience clapping for your growth. And in those moments, it can feel like you're doing everything right, but still sitting alone. That's the part that tested me the most, the lonely moments. The days I questioned if it was even worth it. But that's also where the real glow started. When I learned how to be okay with my own company, how to keep building when no one was watching. So, in this episode, I want to talk about what I did in those lonely moments during my glow up season and maybe help you feel a little less alone while you're in yours. Since we're talking about stepping into our best selves, let me put you on Phi2 glasses, which is FYTOO. They instantly level up your look while you're at work, brunch, or just on Zoom. Plus, you could get 15% off by using my code NICEYS, NIECEYYS. And also, if you want to get some prescription glasses without breaking the bank, definitely hit up Phi2. That goes to my question. Why does it always feel like whenever you are glowing up, you're leveling up, you feel alone? It feels like it's always you against the world. So we're going to dive into several topics today, but the major topic we're going to talk about is what was the lonely moment in your glow up season? Because for me, in my glow up season, I had several lonely moments that I just had to be okay with being by myself. The first one was when back in, I think is when I was headed on to my master's, and the friends that I used to hang around with, those were the friends that I would no longer hang around with. Those were the friends that me and their friendships drifted. And I had several different types of friend groups, so I'll be honest there. I had some friends that I knew from high school, some friends that I knew from college, some friends that I knew from back in New York overall. So some of the friends I used to hang out with, some of them drifted apart. They did their own, like they started moving to different places. They were in different careers, so we weren't as close as we once were. But there were other friends that were considered my bona fide friends that we just drifted apart. When I decided to do my master's, it was a time that I didn't really tell anybody. I just said I wanted to do it and I did it. That was a moment in my life that I noticed that some of my friendships, they started to dwindle. And I know I talked about this previously in my previous episode with Shanae about friendships and the shift, especially when you're elevating. But it's really true, like it's legit true. There are moments in your lonely season where you just have to be okay with being alone. And I know it sucks and it's scary to say, but you have to have that time to like really be okay with being alone because you're gonna face a lot of stuff. And at that time when I was doing my master's, the friends that I was hanging out with, some of the stuff that they were doing, I was no longer on that type of vibe. I wasn't partying as much. I wasn't going out and drinking all that stuff as much because right then and now I had a first corporate like job and I was doing my master's. So I was really feeling like I was on top of the world. But I was also feeling like a little bit frustrated because, you know, you're doing your master's. It's not easy work. You have homework to do now. You're juggling work and school at the same time. And that was a time in my life that I really, really felt like I was alone. I feel like I didn't have any friends. I would tell my parents, oh my God, I wish I had friends to hang out with. I wish I had my New York friends that were down here. It would have been easier for me to go out to hang out. I just wish all of those stuff. Those are all the stuff that was going through my mind. But I had to understand it's okay. It was okay for that time. Literally, I had to tell myself it's okay because I know my end goal is going to be so sweet. And that was something that I had to understand. The second time in my life was when I was going through the period of time where it was time for me to move out of my parents' home. I was happy to have the type of parents that they were okay. So if you have Caribbean parents or other parents, you understand that they're okay with you staying and living with you until you get yourself on your feet and you're able to move out. So that's the type of situation I was at. My parents, I love them dearly. They were able to still let me stay through college, through my first corporate job, through saving money, etc., to be able to move out on my own. And one thing my mother always told me, she said, whenever you're ready to move out on your own, make sure you're buying, not rent, buy. So that was my end goal. My end goal said to myself, okay, I gotta fix my credit, I gotta pay down debt, I gotta save. And those are all the things I was going through my mind. And at this point in my life, I couldn't let anybody know what I was doing. I had to like move in silence. And that move in silence moment is so scary because there are friends that you want to tell your good news to, but then there's always something that you got to say back in mind, like you don't know if everybody is always going to be proud or happy for you. And I'm not saying this going to any of my friends because they've all been proud and happy for me, but it's just human thoughts, it's human emotion, that's what you think, that's how you feel. And in that moment in my life, that's how I felt. And I felt that it was a time for me to actually sit back and focus. So I cut out on going out. So I probably go out once a month, or like was focusing on saving money. I wasn't playing those games. I had to penny pinch. I had to pinch money. I was also buying stuff from my place as well. So I was doing two in one. I was also buying stuff from my place, but I was also penny pinching. And then lastly, I was focused on paying off debt. And you guys know, I told you guys, I was 20K in debt. And that was something that I had to focus on and had to like really knock down on. So when I joined the debt management program, that was it. Like my money, it ate up my money. Like I think I was paying like $584 a month given to them. And back then I wasn't really making a lot of money with my paycheck. And I was giving them pretty much almost, it felt like almost half of my paycheck so I could fix my credit and to pay off these debts. That was like a frustrating point in my life because I couldn't really tell anybody what I was going through because one, I was ashamed of the debt that I was in. Because come on now, who are you gonna talk to and tell friends that, oh my God, I'm in this debt? Because they're gonna look at you and be like, oh my God, like what did you do to get in that debt? There were numerous reasons why I was in that debt. So at that time, at this point in my life, I felt so lonely. Like I felt like I don't know, I just felt like it was just frustrating because I wanted to go out, I wanted friends, I wanted to do things. When I see people going on girls trip and stuff like that, it's just something that I really wanted to do. And it was also a point in my life that I said to myself, I want to be in a relationship as well. I've been through several relationships. I had a ex that was on and off for 3 years. I had somebody I was talking to for like a year, but it just never went anywhere because in that lonely moment of my time, I realized that my end goal was mainly focusing on moving out, saving money, paying off debt, and they weren't a number one priority. It's simple as that. And I always felt like before you get into a relationship, and especially if you're looking for a long term relationship, you have to make sure that you're putting in 100% to be an individual. You can't give you an individual 30% and think they're gonna be there. So in my mind, I said to myself, there's no way I could be in a relationship because I'm not gonna give this person 100% of me. As much as I try, as much as I want to, it's not gonna happen. And there were times that I wanted to go out. Like I really wanted to go out. There were times like I'll see people going on girls trip. I want to be able to fly back and forth from New York to my friends, go to concerts, so many different things. And I really had to pick and choose what I could do and what I can't do. And I had to be okay with that. I was like, okay, if I can't do this, I could do that. If I can't do that, I can't do that, then I'll probably do another time. Those are all the things I was going through the back of my mind as I was in this prepping season. And it was frustrating because I really wish I could have told people how I felt, but it's like I have this thing in my mind that I don't like to jinx things. And I told you guys previously before, when I got into my condo, I my closing date was pushed back 4 times. And it wasn't even like I was like talking to and telling everybody about it. It was the fact that like every minute I'm getting hyped up. My closing date December, okay, moved. Next time February, moved. Okay, March, okay, moved. April, moved. Okay, and then finally in May. So it's like it was to a point in my life that I said to myself, I'm just gonna move in silence and be quiet about things. And it had to go that way. Sometimes I feel like those silences needed for you to really grow and for you to really elevate. And there are times when you focus on a goal, you tend to go ghost and you tend to escape. Because I know I do that. Sometimes my emotions get the best of me that I'm literally just zoning everybody out, zoning everything out. I'm focusing on my end goal. So every other thing that's happening around, I'm not paying it any mind. I'm not paying it any attention. At that point in my life, that's not a priority to me. And literally, when you are going through this season of your life, and we could call it glow up season, level up season, any type of season, when you are going to the season of your life, when you're going through that shift from something to a huge something, That's the time when you are going to be silenced. And what I mean is that it's gonna be weird to you that many friends are not gonna be around you. Many families are not gonna be around you. It's gonna feel like everything around you is falling apart. But it's falling apart, and not all of that you're experiencing is because something better is coming. And it's so crazy to say that, but I always go by this saying that says sometimes I see it as God has to take away certain things so you could elevate to your full potential. And that's sometimes why we have to go through that lonely season in our glow up process. That's why sometimes you see many people when they are doing certain things, like for example, somebody being a doctor. If somebody's being a doctor, they're in school, they have their head down, they're focusing on their books, they're focusing on school, they're not caring about the outside world. Well, some of them that could multitask, they could do stuff like that. But it goes for anybody that's law students when they're practically studying for the exam. They go ghost. You don't hear anything from them because they're focusing on passing the exam. And I heard that's one of the hardest exams as well. So it's all about taking the time out to zone out all the noise. When they're in their glow up season or when they're in that season of silence, and let's say they have friends or boyfriends or family members, whomever that they have around them, and when it's time for them to hit that next level, when it's time for them to elevate, they always fall out with a friend. Family member always causes havoc for no reason, or a boyfriend or a partner, they're no longer with them anymore. It's because you are being put in that time to have to go through that. So now when all the good things are coming your way, the people around you that's supposed to be around you, they are around you. It's always happens like that. And it's sad to say, but those moments are needed, because if we didn't have those moments, there are probably some people that should not be in the new version of ourselves. They should be left behind. And that's something that I had to understand. This new version of myself and where I am right now, and those moments that I had to go through, some of the people that I used to hang out with, they probably cannot be at the same level or the version of me right now. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm saying it as a way as when we are growing up and we are in that lonely moment, we have to be in that moment because it makes us to sit down and really think about, hey, did this person actually like us in a relationship? Does this person actually want to be my friend? Does this family member actually like me? We sit down in our lonely moment and we think about that. And when we think about that, that's when we pick up on certain things like, oh, okay, now I see how this person said this. Now I see how this person said that. I've seen a lot of videos, especially on TikTok, when I would hear a lot of people talk about how when they fell out from a friend, they look back and thought of all the things that happened to realize that they weren't actually a good friend and that friend never liked them. And they are so happy to be in the level that they are right now to not have that friend with them. And this doesn't always go for friends. This also goes for relationships, and this also goes for family. Because I've heard many stories about people that have partners that secretly hate them, that secretly do not want to see them shine, that secretly do not want to see them win. The same thing with family members. I've heard many stories like that. And that's why I always feel like the lonely moment is needed. That's the moment of silence. That's the moment we sit back and we think. That's the moment that we are taking the time to meditate, to pray, to journal, to talk, to really, really like put our heads down and really get into our zone. And sometimes when you are in that season of staying to yourself, you start to stress yourself out and you feel lonely. And it's frustrating too because you want to vent, but you can't really vent. You're trying to de-stress yourself out, but you don't know how to. It's like you're thinking about so many things to do in that lonely moment because you know the end goal is going to be so sweet. And I always think about that. The time when I never had a car for 2 years, I knew the end goal was going to be sweet. But at that moment, that time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was pissed because I didn't have a car. I'm fortunate that my parents had an extra car that I was able to use and drive to take me places I needed to go. But I was pissed. I didn't really go out that much because I focused on my end goal. I knew that I had a goal set for me. Whenever I'm going through a bad time, or when I'm going through my lonely moments, I tend to either shut out or I tend to just keep many things to myself or I tend to just move differently. And it's not saying in a negative way. It's a time that I need to take for myself. I need to talk to myself. I need to talk to God. I need to think things through. I need to sit down. I need to map out. I need to plan. And I need to prepare for the worst, expect the best. I need to do all of this stuff in this moment. There's no hate to anybody. Because you know how they always have that running joke about when a guy is broke, he's the meanest? At that point in their life, I'm thinking about it like that guy. I'm thinking, okay, I'm like, okay, if I ain't got no money, and I have somebody coming to me always asking me money, I'm gonna feel a certain way that I don't want to be around that person. Because at this point now, I'm trying to find ways to get my money back up. And I kind of get how when people make that joke, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting it from a point of view of, if you don't have any money, you don't even want to smile. So you have to go through that lonely moment to basically be able to rise up and to elevate. And like I said before, the way I see it is God has to take away certain things so we can elevate to be at our full potential. So here are 5 ways to stay grounded that will help you handle those lonely stretches during your glow up season. Number 1, reframe the silence. Loneliness isn't proof you're missing something, it's space forming around your next version. Use that quiet to ask yourself what feels missing that I could build instead of chase. Number 2, pour into the maintenance phase. Get intentional with routines that anchor you: meal prep, workout, skincare, even tidying up your place. The small, repetitive care keeps your nervous system steady when emotions spike. Number 3, create micro connections. You don't need a crowd. Comment on someone's work you admire. Check in with one friend. Join a niche online group. Single, genuine exchange beats 5 hollow ones. Number 4, challenge the ache into expression. Write, film, sing, paint, pray. Whatever you do, whatever lets you get that lonely energy into something tangible. Most glow ups are born from that tension between wanting more and learning patience. And lastly, revisit your receipts. Keep a progress journal, photos, journal entries, budgets, workout screenshots. When loneliness whispers you're not moving, open it and remind yourself this is just the quiet between breakthroughs. So that revisit your receipts is something that I have, because right now I have about 4 high yield savings accounts. Those 4 high yield savings accounts, the money ain't looking at where I want it to be. And I screenshot it and I tell myself from a year from now it's gonna be even better. When I revisit that receipts and I think to myself that I want to have a family, I want to have a foundation that's set for my kids, so when they get older, they know they don't have to go through what I go through. Like, I didn't really go through much, but I'm just saying, like, if they want something, they want something. They want to go to private school, I want them to go to private school. They want to go to college or trade school to get them their first car. I think a lot of stuff like that. And I said to myself, I have to lay that foundation from now. So I always try to revisit stuff and say to myself, okay, this is what I had a year ago. I need to find out how to map that plan for my goal for this year. And if I don't achieve this goal this year, I'm mapping it out for next year. And that's my glow up in my lonely season. Because right now I'm going through my lonely season. But I learned in this lonely season of mine, I learned how to balance it. I've learned how to balance it now. And what I mean is, I am going through that process, but I'm also still trying to be there for people, still trying to talk to people, trying to think these through, trying to say, oh, hey, I can't do this, but I could do that. I'm still in that process, but I'm not shutting people out like I once was. Because sometimes you're going to need a friend, a family, somebody there that's going to be there with you to help you in that process. And that's something that I'm doing as well in my lonely. And since I've done it 2, 3, 4 times, now I know how to handle it, and now I know how to balance it so I don't completely just shut everybody. So the next topic, how do you handle people falling away as you elevate? We talked about this in depth in my previous episode with Shanae about losing friends when you're elevating, but this also applies to your partner and your family. When I see some people fall away from me, I always see it as God making sure the right people around me are around me to see me succeed. It's no hate, but there are some people that are around you that's only there for a season, and they're not meant to continue to grow with you. There are some friends in your life, some family that you're with, a partner that you're with, they're with you for that specific moment, and they help you to become the better version of yourself. Fortunately, there are some people that have to go through some terrible experiences, which I do apologize and I feel bad for, but those experiences help that person to be better more in the future. I've heard many stories about people that a partner that they had before, or a family member or a friend, did them dirty, that they know how to handle things better in the future. It's the same thing with me. There are certain people around me that I just know that are not meant to be with me in this specific moment of my life. There were a few past relationships that I've been in that I could see why they're not meant to be with now. They were there back then, but those relationships taught me the importance of how I see I need to have somebody that treats me better in the future. The same way how there are certain friends that I've previously had that would put me in situations that were dangerous. They would say certain remarks and do certain things. Then now I said to myself, those aren't the type of friends that I want in my life right now. The same thing goes for family members. It's all about certain people are there with you for a reason, and that's that. We could have our loss, but we also got to cut our losses. We also have to understand that that's okay. That's fine. Unfortunately, there are some relationships that just can't be fixed. And you sometimes you don't even want the person that is no longer your friend to be with this new version of you. You don't want them to be around you. Because let's be honest, as I said before, there are some friends around you that do not want to see you shine. There are some family around you that does not want to see you doing better than them. There's some partners that you have does not want you to see you doing well. They want you to depend on them. That's why I always feel like it's very important that we also always have our own peace of mind, that we also move in silence but still share what we can to our partners, friends, family, whomever, but we still know our end goal for our. When you hear about it, I talked about this previously and I feel like I'm always bringing this up. But Issa and Molly's relationship, the time when they fell apart, is a prime example of when you are elevating, how some people handle things when you are elevating, how they tend to drift away. Because when you saw that Issa was getting frustrated of being at that, what was it, that project job, that nonprofit company that she was working at, and we all know that Molly was a lawyer. When Issa started putting her ideas into action and Molly didn't think that it was actually going to do well, you could see how Issa was elevating in that process and how Molly fell away and she was falling back because she felt like she and Issa's mindset was not aligned. It's because Molly always felt like Issa had to depend on her. So now that Issa never had to depend on her and Issa was doing her own thing and Issa was reaching a higher level and being more noticed, more out there, Molly felt some type of way. And unfortunately, there are friendships that like that when you are trying to fix yourself and do better, there are some friends that can't handle that. This also reminds me of girlfriends. Everybody knows that Joan was a friend that everybody went to. Everybody went to Joan. And the time when Joan actually started picking herself, Joan made sure that she quit law. She was running a huge restaurant business. Her restaurant started bringing in more clientele. She started going into parties. She started just elevating herself and leveling up. And her friends, particularly Tony, never liked that because Tony was like, you were never there for me. You're not doing this, etc., etc. And I also feel like that in a situation like that, there are some friends that are like Joan, that they are tired of always being everybody's backbone. They're tired of always being there for friends. They're tired of always bending backward for friends. That in that particular moment, Tony did not like that. Because remember, Tony was the one that was always on top, but now that she was married, she had a kid, etc., Tony was going through it. And she was dependent on Joan, but Joan at that moment was not for her. Joan was elevating herself. I always like to use those shows because those shows are actually real life situations that do happen. There are times that you have to go through that moment, and there are instances where you do elevate yourself, and the friends that you had back then, or family or a partner back then, they didn't fit there, but years later, you guys reconcile and you guys are both at a higher level in your life, that you guys do become best friends again with that new version of yourselves. Yes, that happens. I do believe that happens as well. But how do you handle, how do you seriously handle people falling away as you elevate? I always thought that to myself, like, how do you handle it? There are some people that can't handle that. There's some people that can handle that. But I feel like when you are going through that lonely moment in your season, you are going to come across people that are not meant to be there with you. You are going to come across people that do not want to see you doing better than them. You are going to come across people that like to project. You are going to come across so many things that you have to pick and choose your battle in a sense. You have to pick and choose. Do you really want this person in your life at this exact moment when you're trying to do this? Or are you okay with your friendship dwindling down, your relationship dwindling down, your family relationship dwindling down to reach a goal that you want to reach? You have to sit back and think about that. That's a time in your lonely moment where you need that silence to actually sit back and think about that. So we've had our lonely moment in your glow up journey. We talked about how to handle people falling away as you elevate. But let's talk about the habits that help you stay grounded when nobody was clapping for you. Absolutely no one. I have a few things, and these are my top 3 things that helped me stay grounded within myself. Faith and prayer is going to be there for you when nobody else is there for you. Having faith, meaning trusting in your end goal, trusting in yourself, is what's going to help you to always try to be optimistic, even when there are people around you being pessimistic, when there's nobody clapping for you, when there's nobody cheering you on. Praying is what's going to help you as well when you are praying for asking God to help you, when you're praying, talking to God, when you're praying, telling God that, hey, this is how I'm feeling, when you're praying to God, telling God that nobody has your back, but He got your back. That's what you have to do first to stay grounded. That's what's helping me to stay grounded in this process and in this season of my time right now, because Lord knows I told you guys previously that I'm going through my own lonely season right now, but I'm balancing it. But at this point now, even though I have people that are clapping for me, I still feel like nobody's clapping for me. I'm still having that mindset of how am I going to get through this process without nobody clapping for me when I have people cheering me on. But for people that really don't have anybody cheering them on, you really need that faith and you really need that prayer. You need to like literally lock into yourself and literally dive deep into your faith. And it could be spiritual, it could be whomever you believe in, but you really have to sit down and actually think about that. Talk about praying, talk, have a conversation, really, really get that through. And number 2, having that focus. You have to be focused. When you're trying to stay grounded and realizing that nobody's clapping for you, this is a time and a point where you have to focus on your end goal, because you know you're going to accomplish that goal. You know you're going to achieve it. You know you are going to beat the odds, and you know you're going to prevail. You know you're going to shine. You know you're going to accomplish every single dream, goal, vision that you have for yourself. And this is a time that you have to stay focused when there's other people trying to knock you down, when there's nobody clapping for you, when there's nobody cheering you on. You have to say to yourself, you're going to cheer yourself on. That's why I always have that running joke that I had on my Instagram, my TikTok, where I said that whenever it comes to my TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, even my podcast, I'm the first one liking it. I'm the first one watching. I'm the first one listening, because I'm clapping for myself if nobody's clapping for me. Even though I have genuine people that are clapping for me, I'm just in the back of my head thinking that I don't have anybody clapping for me, and I got to continue to grind. I got to continue doing my thing. And that's what's in my lonely moment right now for me. Is me trying to figure out to myself, how am I going to continue to shine? How am I going to continue to grind? Because of faith and praying, focus, and lastly, having that positive mindset. Literally, I can't tell you how many days I've been so pessimistic. You guys cannot believe it. I've been feeling so pessimistic in this entire process, especially in my lonely season, and you are probably experiencing that as well. But we have to find some way to snap out of it, to be more positive, to be more optimistic, to be more encouraging with ourselves, give ourselves grace, talk to ourselves. And this all goes back, and I feel like this all intertwines with faith, praying, focus, and a positive mindset. These are all the habits that are going to help you stay grounded when there's nobody clapping for you, when there's nobody cheering you on. And you can also have in the back of your mind, if you want to have revenge on everybody that's sleeping on you, you can also do that as well. But it goes back to that running joke that you see on TikTok, where you see people have that talking about, how's your little video going, or how's your little TikTok doing, are you too old to be in TikTok, what are you doing this, what are you doing that. Everybody got a goal, everybody got a dream, everybody got a vision. We just all got to have that platform. There's so many people that have their businesses out there that they're trying to get the business off the ground, and there's nobody clapping for them. And you know why many of their business take off? Is because they had a lot of praying, a lot of faith. They were focusing, and they had a positive mindset, even when things were getting rough. Look how many people have businesses out there that they never thought they would. It always goes back to me thinking about how Amazon, how Facebook, how YouTube, how all these people that had their business going up, maybe a lot of people were telling them they were silly. It's always a story that you hear with Blockbuster, how they were laughing at Netflix, and look at Netflix right now. It's the same story how Amazon was only for books, and look at Amazon now. You have to stay grounded. When nobody's clapping for you, you have to think that your idea is going to be the best idea ever. You just need a platform to work on your idea. You need to stay grounded. You need to develop these habits, so when you have that idea and that lonely moment that you have to go through, it's the time you're going to sit down, think, and everything is going to fall into place for you. Now, lastly, looking back, and this is a question that I want to sit down and ask you guys too. What would you say to your past self during that lonely season of your life? And I would tell myself that it was well worth it because all the sacrifices were made to get to that point. The time when I had my lonely moment season, when I was working on my master's, when I was paying off debt, when I was saving money, I had to develop those habits that I develop now to help me to be the better version of myself. I would tell myself there's nothing that I would change. Every experience that I had was an experience that helped me to become the better version of myself, then I'll continue to become the better version of myself. Every experience that you went through, it made you into a better version than you were yesterday, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yes, we go through all our ups and downs, but I feel like that's what's important in our lonely season. We need those moments because when we reach the level that we're dying to reach and we do reach it, it's going to be so sweet. One thing in my lonely moment right now that I'm going through, I'm already thinking that I'm at the finish line. And I know I'm nowhere near there yet, but I already know the end goal that I'm trying to reach. And I've been trying to have faith. I've been trying to pray more, focus, and have a positive mindset to reach that goal. That's why I can't wait till a year from now to see how well my podcast do, to talk to myself and be like, yo, I wouldn't have changed anything. Because everything that I've done helped me to reach the level that I am today. Yes, I know we could tend to be hard on ourselves, but literally we need that to be able to push ourselves more. We still need to give ourselves grace. We still need to push ourselves more. But thanks for tuning in with Glow Up with Nisi. If today's episode spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a Glow Up bestie. Want more behind the scenes and real life glow up content? Come hang with me on YouTube at Nisi's World. And if you haven't already, grab a copy of my book, Nisi's Glow Up Blueprint. It's your go-to guide for becoming your best self. You can find it linked right in the show notes. Until next time, keep glowing, keep growing, and never stop becoming her.